Good morning, and welcome to VFXtravaganza. It's Friday, and I didn't sleep much. What else is new? How's everybody doing? Welcome to the VFX stream. I've been streaming all week over on. Oh no, I'm echoing again. I do this every single time. I swear to God. I was about to say I've been streaming every day this week, and so therefore have become quite professional at the task. Over on patreon.com/doormonster. So if you have any interest in joining in daily streams, consider going and supporting over on Patreon. Also helps just me live and continue to make videos. But in the meantime, I'm doing public streams here on Friday. And decided that today I wanted to go over the Crusader Kings video that we did last year and kind of show off some of the effect shots from that because they're super cool and I haven't ever actually gotten to talk about them. So that's the plan. I also released a sketch this morning that I put together very quickly last night because I could not decide what I wanted to do until last minute, and that's why I'm yet again light on sleep, but I will make up for it tonight. We already got a pretty good group. High Smalls, Wandering Wigmaleary, Elferlight, Smite Fan, Backdoor, Tanmark, Yautological, Carl Gillis. It's a good one. I like that one. Welcome everybody. A lot of you obviously are regulars. And the rest of you should be, so go to patreon.com/doormonster. Backdoor said the new sketch was nice, thank you so much. Has all the vibes that we made this minimal effort, why is it doing better than the ones we put hours into video? I kind of wondered about that myself, and my intuition is usually kind of correct on that kind of stuff. I just try not to think it too loud in case the universe shall hear me. It was actually an Allison idea, though. It was great, and I just spent forever trying to pick exactly how I wanted to present it before finally settling on that one. And then, yeah, just kind of had to, like, cram it into last night to make sure it came out on time this morning. I wasn't up that late, though. It was fine. It was enough that I was able to get up and start streaming only 10 minutes late today, which is actually just completely the same time. That's actually a 9:10 stream. I just say that's a 9 o'clock stream. The Patreon streams do occasionally include rants with Allison. I can't guarantee this one won't, but it's really up to her. She's somewhere else in this room because we live in a single room. I have received word from Allison to say good morning from her only to Smalls the Kobold. So, there you go. She also just said little lizard baby. and nothing else. So yeah, I figured we can start off with just rewatching the Crusader Kings video because I can never do that too many times. It's genuinely one of my favorites. My top favorite Door Monster videos compete with Empire of Sin and this Crusader Kings video because we just poured so much into them. They were so much fun in both of those, and they're both very different styles. Both had Matt involved a little bit in some way. He actually helped write the dialogue in the Empire of Sin one, even though he wasn't in it. And yeah, this one is, I've come back and rewatched this one just over and over and over since we published it. But it didn't actually do, like, super great view-wise when it came out. Like, it didn't, I think by Paradox standards it underperformed a little bit, which is a shame, because you want to know not sleeping stories? I stayed awake for damn near 48 straight hours working on this video. Like, I genuinely was like, started in the morning. On the last couple of days, I started in the morning, stayed up through the whole night, and was at my computer working until the second day's night for just, it was a long time. It was weird. It was a weird experience. Your brain starts doing weird things once you're that far in. Hello, Geroid. Yes, this is going to be a little look behind the scenes. I have my project files open. I'm just going to kind of show off and explain how we made this one, because I actually think a lot of the VFX shots went either completely unnoticed or just inherently kind of underappreciated, because there's no way, because I think they actually kind of turned out too good sometimes, and I'm not sure a lot of them were recognizable as VFX shots, and even the ones that were, I'm not sure it's like obvious how much we put into it. But it was every video that we've ever done is sort of like also a test for the next thing, and this one was kind of testing out how convincing of like a little movie can we make just in one room with a green screen. Good morning, Ursa. Heating in my building has been out for over a day. That's terrible. Also, your coffee machine broke. This is a bad morning for you. I'm so sorry. Helperlight says, as a personal computer gamer, I can't relate to comfy gaming. It really is the opposite. If you're a PC gamer, you're probably not a comfy gamer. I am not the comfy gamer in the house either. I'm working on it. Allison is the comfy gamer, so I was playing her in the video. I need a way to quickly and quietly prepare a hot drink for myself in the mornings, so I'm not just drinking a giant jug of water. Alright, I think we have enough people here to go ahead and get started. So first off, I'm just going to play the video again so we can get a little refresher. The sound might be a little quiet. I'll try to adjust, but I'm just launching into it. Presumably you guys have already seen it, so this is just a reminder.
He was next in line for the throne.
Your heir is lustful, sadistic, vengeful.
I think the word you're looking for is cool.
He was next in line for confession.
Forgive me, Father, I took the Lord's name in vain. I was doing my prayers and I called him Jeebus.
Until one day.
Dad is gonna disinherit you, bro.
Now, with their dynasty on the line.
We just have to convince the Pope that you're devoted.
Dude, let's go to Jerusalem!
Two brothers will work together to increase their piety and avoid getting excommunicated by the papacy.
Pilgrimage!
God help us all.
There's one.
From the studio who brought you Duke, Whenceforth Is Mine Carriage, comes the irreverent new comedy. The Medieval Times calls it the biggest event since Justinian's plague. And the Vatican says this is blasphemy. Why would you show us this?
I'm sick of taking orders from a guy I don't even think exists. He's right behind me, isn't he?
Crusader Kings, coming to a stage near you.
Ta-da.
Amazing. Best thing ever. I always really want to find myself wanting to watch our movie whenever I see that trailer. I know the raccoon in Europe thing. It was just kind of like those road trip movies are always have the raccoon scene, so I just had to throw it in. I didn't even think about the fact that they don't have them in Europe, and now it's actually occurring to me for the first time that there aren't like European road trip movies as like a genre. Like that's a very like American thing, which makes sense because road trips are pretty American. Anyway, that video was I turned out exactly how we wanted it to. Like it was definitely like an exercise in executing a vision properly. But the methods were extensive to make that work. If we wanted to really feel like an actual movie trailer that we had like filmed in different places, which is kind of hard. Like doing a fictional trailer is tough, and it's not something we do for sketches very often because of the sheer variety of shots you need. It ends up being actually a pretty big production hassle, even if the editing isn't usually too bad, because you're kind of like, you scripted it all out to begin with. There's like some narration, like the actual like putting it together at the end isn't too hard, but shooting a fake trailer is kind of hard because you have to shoot a bunch of pieces of a movie that doesn't exist if you want it to look authentic. Venificus says the cozy gamer really cut deep. I feel attacked, but it was funny. Good, thank you. I'm glad that you liked it. I hope that it every video at some point, except this one, at some point in the middle of the night, turns into like, is this actually any good at all? Is there any point in working on this? And I have to just push it aside because it's like I'm too tired to know it, and I'm way too deep in, so it's coming out no matter what. Most European road trips are an hour to the next major town. Yeah, very true. I assume most people aren't going. Even the language doesn't work the same. I was gonna say like cross country to France, but that's crossing like multiple countries depending on where you're coming from. All right, let's see where to begin. So the whole thing was we shot it all in one room. We did a bunch of Blender effects for a lot of it. There's a few shots that are just real and untouched. There's stock footage. It's all cut together. It's all color matched by Allison because she's great at that. And then there's this VHS filter that I put on top of it that kind of blends it all together as well and makes it look like an actual, somebody uploaded a trailer from the 80s. Most of the individual shots were green screen. So, let's see. Should we just start at the beginning, or should we start at? I'll start at my favorite because this is the one that I think doesn't get noticed as much because of, and also I put the most work into it because I knew it was going to need it. So we have this like carriage spilling all the luggage. This is one of my, probably would be like one of my portfolio shots if I were trying to put one together because this whole thing is CGI. I don't know how obvious that is, honestly. That was kind of the weird thing is I uploaded the video and there weren't a lot of comments about the effects, and so I never know if that means people didn't notice that they were there, or if they were so noticeable that no one felt like mentioning it because there was just no point. And this shot never got brought up, so I didn't know what people thought they were looking at. But I really want to show it off and brag because there's a lot going on in this shot. I wish I could just like loop it. Maybe I can on VLC. Did I like by any chance save that one shot somewhere? Like in the Project Files Blender. Road trip, perhaps? I don't see it. Okay. No worries. I do have the Blender project open, though. So this entire shot, here it is. It's nuts. It's very complicated. So all of these little, I guess first thing, all these little squares popping off, I will explain in a bit. But I need to hide them for now. So yeah, I actually just was able to put this whole thing together from scratch using like photo scans and physics simulations and different models that I got. I do have in progress shots of it, I'm pretty sure, and maybe they are in Premiere. I'm trying to just think of where to start talking about it, I guess, because the whole thing is very detailed. I guess the main thing is the carriage, right? So like the carriage itself is a model that I downloaded, trying to navigate Blender while talking. And there's a physics plugin that you can use to like mark out the parts of a vehicle and then send it along a path, and it will actually sort of like calculate the suspension and stuff. So I spent a while first just getting the motion down. And I have early versions of that, I believe in here somewhere. If I can just find, like, yeah, you have all these. I have all these different versions of everything. Carriage luggage spill version 1. So this was my very first render of this shot with the placeholder horses. I think the only thing that didn't really change was the bridge. It's mostly the same thing with the same texture, and I just didn't actually adjust it much because it blended into everything else. And there's this great sort of trick of making everything like really low resolution and sticking a VHS filter on top of it that kind of hides a lot of the little details. So it did kind of make it easier to have to put a whole scene together like this. But in this early version, you can even see that, like, I got the movement of the carriage down. The landscape and the composition mostly stayed the same. And then one thing I figured out early that I kind of liked is I don't know how clear it comes across on stream on like a tinier frame, but there's like a little almost imperceptible like camera shake on this thing, because I looked up a lot of reference, which is how you make things look good, and I noticed in like these older movies, if they had like cameras outside somewhere, I think just the tripods they use and the weight of the camera and like the wind, they're usually kind of vibrating a little bit, and it also might have something to do with the actual film being scanned in on top of that. But it happens a lot in like outdoor shots, and it's just kind of like shaking a little bit. So I added like actual recorded camera shake motion, made it small, made it fast, and then it just kind of has that little vibrate look to it. So I threw that in from the start and liked that touch. Actually really glad I have all these saved versions, because now I can see the details. So the carriage, I kind of went and added some accents. I added these fabric stuff to the top just because extra movement, like things moving, I think really helps sell the realism. Especially when, you know, it's this really like bouncy dynamic shot like this. Right there is actually me and Matt photo scanned and put into the carriage, and they're pretty good scans, and you almost never see them. We did like full photo scans of us in multiple poses, and I had it all ready just in case I needed these like extra wide shots or anything, and we just ended up not actually using any of them, and it's a real shame because they were some of the best photo scans I've ever done. I'm gonna see if I can find them real fast. Character scans. Yeah, let me see if I can just open this file separately. Small said you'd shown us the bridge and horse in the Patreon chat, so the active patrons had no big reason to mention it. Yeah, no, that's true. I forgot I had shared that. By the way, if you go to patreon.com/doormonster, you get access to a special Discord room where I post the things I'm working at 3 a.m. because I'm too excited to not show anybody. Keith says, honestly, I was so entranced by the whole thing, I never stopped to think about the CGI. It just blends so well. It is seamless. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So yeah, these are the scans. We did 3 poses per person, and I pulled them in and did this whole cleanup and like de-lighted them so that they were pretty flat, and I think I only ended up using these sitting ones, and they, you know, up close they don't look great, but they're pretty good for like what is entirely a digital model and my lack of skill and decent equipment to put them together. And then I had these to rig up if I wanted to like add animation to something and have like a wide shot of us. And then these are just standing in case I wanted us, you know, standing around and just wanted to add some like basic animation. And then the reason Matt's like shawl thing looks like this is because I was going to add like an actual physical cape that could move if I was going to animate him so that it looked realistic. And I hadn't quite gotten around to adding digital hair to models yet, so I don't know if I would have done that. But yeah, ended up not really using any of them, so that's too bad. Maybe I'll repurpose them at some point. But in this shot, in the carriage shots, that's the only time that they are technically visible. They just may as well not be. And they even move. I actually forget. How do I lock the view? I remember having to do this. Is it camera to view, render region? Properties. I had to do this for animating it, where I had to like make the view stick to, lock to objects. That's what it is. And then if I hit play, it should, stick with it. There we go. So yeah, you can actually see that they like bump around. Like I have like wiggle bones and stuff in them. Put a lot into this. But yeah, you don't really see much of that. Here I started texturing the ground, started adding some actual like landscape and some to the path as well. Put water down here, which you also can't really see much of, but I think it's all those little details that makes it look like it could be a real shot. Let's see. All right, well, this is a big jump. Did I mean to do that? I guess so. I named it the same thing, so I wasn't sure. So, looks like here I went in and did mostly the photo scan drop, which is why so much happens all at once. I just took I have a lot of plants that I have like pre-existing models for. Figured out how to sort of distribute the trees around. I'm pretty happy with how well the landscape came together in this shot. It's kind of a big thing. Because forests are hard, forests are detailed, and it really, I don't know. I'm just impressed by Blender's ability to kind of like put all this together. I did a lot between those two renders. And then I did my first pass here of all the stuff on top of the the carriage, which I think I went through multiple iterations of trying to get this to work, because you can't just like simulate all physics at once and have them bounce off of each other. You have to do like the cloth and then lock it in, and then you have to do like the rigid object simulation and then lock that in, and then the carriage was its own thing before all of that. So this was an early version of all of the stuff falling off, and I hadn't even decided what the stuff was, so it was literally just cubes textured with like an image of suitcases or something that's falling off to get the gist. This was the first one that I think I was sharing around as like, look how this shot's turning out, this is cool. And then also this is when I added, I'm not sure anybody noticed, but I added a bunch of bumper stickers to the back of the of the carriage, which I thought was very funny during those 2 days. Backdoor said Matt's face on the sitting model is giving me potion seller vibes. Yeah, I completely agree. That's kind of his whole character's vibe. Hello, General Knight. You did make it. We're only like halfway through at most. I also started late, so you got in well. Vanny said the behind the scenes are so great, and everybody else sold the Patreon for me, which I appreciate. Let's see. Alright, and it looks like I started just kind of playing with... Oh, I swapped the sky out. I was dealing with this kind of like cloudy sky thing for the scene for a while, and then decided that I didn't like how that was looking, because I wanted more like hot spots. I thought that like blown out areas from direct sunlight would make it look more real. So I played with a lot of lighting setups and moved to this one, which it looks like still changed a little bit by the next one. And added all of these. I really just kept going back and looking at other pieces of footage and seeing what was there and trying to add it back in. I added all these little particles kind of like floating up. I don't even know exactly what they're supposed to be. I don't know if it's like bugs or plant matter or what. It also is really strong here, and I think got much more subtle later on. Yeah, you can't really see it nearly as well. It's mostly over here by the the incident. But I think that also adds to it. I think I densified the brush up front again too. And then I think each one after this subsequent is just like more adjustments. It's things like I made this plant smaller because I guess I decided those leaves were too big. At some point, here we go, I bring in the actual horses. I have these like stand-in orange horses for a while. And then I have this horse model, which was, weirdly, we didn't have to spend pretty much any money on this video. And so I usually have like an allotted amount that I can wiggle on, like if I need some extra stuff for videos. So a big chunk of just that little extra like production reimbursement went toward these horses, which I used in several shots, and was great because they look fantastic, even actually kind of up close, but we don't see that much of them. Can you zoom in on the bumper stickers? I can. I don't actually know what they all are. I knew you wouldn't be able to see them really in the final shot, and I think I just found a photograph online of bumper stickers that kind of looked like they would work, and then stuck them on there for the colors and stuff. Hopefully there's nothing horrendously offensive on the back. This is actually going to take a while, so I'm gonna let that... Uh-oh. Hopefully it does not crash my everything. I kind of forgot before I just casually clicked the rendered button how much was in this scene. Alright, so we seem to be surviving so far, so I'm just gonna let it be for a minute while it figures out what it wants to do. Alex is still waiting on the full release of the movie. It definitely inspired us to want to make like full movies. Like we did this, and then we did the Western later that year. So that's actually more of like what's gonna spiritually, this movie being released is going to be the Western that we shot that I'm currently working on. We did talk about like briefly like the possibility of like, is it worth just like doing this as a movie because it's funny? But Matt was unsure from the start. I think because he thought like there's some ideas that like they work in the trailer, you know, like that's why like the fake trailer as a joke is good, because you can do it in the trailer in a way that like the joke sells because of the short format. And then if you actually expanded it out into a full film, it might not hit quite the same way. And I definitely think that could be the case with this one. That said, I also think we could probably do like a Bill and Ted style, like just goofy thing. But then you have to like, you know, then you have to like write a story, which is a little bit different. Walter Grimglary says if you make it has to be on VHS. I completely agree. I would actually love to only sell my movies on VHS. I've recently been becoming more and more annoyed that the stuff that I make just kind of goes onto YouTube where no one has it. It's just there. And I don't like that. I wish I could just send everybody DVDs or something. So I'm definitely into the idea of like publishing physical versions. I don't know if this is gonna work, guys. I may have to bail on this viewing it in real time thing. Let's see. I should still be able to see the picture that the bumper stickers use. Oh, it is now loading the like temporary textures, so maybe that'll boot it up actually. Vanny says I sort of had to bring myself back to reality and remind myself it's a fake trailer at the end and got a little sad. Ursa says, you know, it's a head bobbing. Thank you. That makes me happy. I love it when genuinely there's some things I will add to videos, and then like if one person comments on it, it was totally worth it. That's all I need. I just need one person to notice. Let's see. Other things I added on this iteration of the shot is I started doing the smoke trail, the dust trail, which I think was really necessary because like I don't know. It's weird because it's like every time you see it, like when I had this one rendered, I was like, that's almost perfect. That looks real. And then every little detail I added afterwards just made it even better. And I think this dust being kicked up by the wheels really added to it. And actually all that is because, so like smoke simulations in Blender are hard. They take a lot of rendering. They don't always look good unless you've put a lot into it. So this is a trick that I've learned where it's actually just a particle emitter stuck to each wheel. I've broken Blender. I'm gonna have to restart this. I apologize to whoever asked to see the bumper stickers. That apparently is not happening. Blender. I don't even. How was I working on this at the end? General Knight just reminded me to talk about the voice actor too. Somehow I forgot about that part. Anyway, each wheel and horse is emitting particles, and then that particle is actually a short little video of a puff of smoke. That's it. And then it like shoots a whole bunch of them out, and they all layer on top of each other. And then after I've kind of honed it in, which I still hadn't yet here, this is like a way too dark version. And it looks like I'm experimenting with like the stuff on top. I have like barrels and chests, and it took me a while to get it to fall at the right time and everything. Is this the final version? This might be the final version. Yeah, looks like it is. And yeah, eventually fine-tuned those smoke puffs so that it just kind of looks like there's dust being kicked up as it drives over. You can kind of tell when it like hits real hard too, and it like kicks up a cloud right there, which I really like. And then the physics simulation took hours because that's all you can do with those is you just have to put stuff where you think they should start and then let it go, see how it looks, and if it doesn't look right, go tweak them again. And I ended up really liking this particular version of everything falling off. It's just very satisfying physics. And I went and stuck the I don't know if anybody else noticed this either, but this is the Jesus cross from the church and the other scenes. Like they took it with them, which I think added to this bit also, just because it it's a much heavier object with a different weight and like different size and shape, and interacts differently. Like it just falls and clunks while all this other stuff is like bouncing around. All these little tiny bits flying everywhere too. I think I put some armor on there. And then the only thing that kind of goes wrong is actually this box over here just like tumbles over the edge of the bridge and then just yeets itself down into the water, because originally I had a version where I realized the collision happened over here, so the box actually hit an invisible ground in midair and just stayed over here floating over the river. And so I had to go in, and I didn't want to redo the physics simulation, so I just hand animated it going down the rest of the way really fast. And that's that shot. That is the most complicated shot by far. Very proud of that one. Very, very, very happy with how it turned out. And excited to try more things like it later on. Can I not just load the bumper sticker separately? I can, actually. I don't know exactly where they are, but they gotta be in here somewhere. Textures, probably. Yeah, there they are. So yeah, it looks like I got this picture of this car that I just found on, I don't know, a Google search of bumper stickers, probably. Looks like it's a Portland car, based on the stickers. Don't know whose it is. It's not bad. Just kind of a random. Lots of American stickers, obviously, so wouldn't hold up to world building if it zoomed in. And then I just went into Photoshop and used like a few different just by hand went and cut them out, and you got this image, and you just stuck that on the back, and that was it. And it's far enough away that it just looks like a mess of colors, and I'm glad that it sells as bumper stickers. I love how one says PDX, right, for the Paradox video. Vandy said he did not notice the cross. There's lots of little stuff that just get stuck in on the way that even I forget, honestly. So we knew that the voice had to be like like that specific trailer voice, you know, like the wacky road trip comedy one. And I didn't have anybody for that. I didn't want to try to do it. I needed the voice to be correct, not like an imitation of it. So I actually just went on to Fiverr and looked around for people offering to do those voices. I think it only cost like $30 or something at the end of the day. The guy that did it was super into it. He loved the script and he really sold those lines. A lot of the actual narration, like the writing, is Matt. He came up with a bunch of that stuff. I'd actually say most of the humor in this is Matt. I kind of helped, but most of my contributions were the bringing it to life with the effects. But Matt came up with a bunch of it. Matt came up with the "he's right behind me," which is one of the funniest things we've ever put into a sketch. I never thought a "he's right behind me" joke could be that good. But the Jesus, "he's right behind me" bit, I can't believe how good that was. Let's see. But yeah, that narration really killed it. That guy did an amazing job. He is credited in the description of the video. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Let's see. So I think with that one out of the way, I'm just going to kind of show this off again. And then I'll bring up I'll just probably pause and bring up different things as we go. And then if anybody wants to know a bit about any particular detail, please ask. And if something jumps into my head, I'll break off and start talking about it. But it's going to be a lot because every single thing has a story. So this is like Paradox's logo from the trailer, I think, because I just took it through in there for the movie trailer. This is obviously a stock shot, which we used actually quite a bit. A lot of the filler, we used stock footage for things that I didn't need to do effects on. Like it needed to feel like a trailer. Like I said, you need that variety. So to get the variety, we leaned on some stock footage and kind of mixed it together. So yeah, obviously I didn't have a castle, so that one's stock footage. This is weirdly one of my other most impressive shots that I've ever done, and it's so nothing. Like the actual work that I went into this is nothing. So we have this shot, right? And like you can probably assume that, like, okay, the castle's not there. I don't know those people either. Like I think I saw even Major, who's pretty good at, like, a guy in our Discord who's pretty good at coming up with figuring out how I did effects, because he knows a lot about cameras, so he can usually pick out, like, well, this doesn't look right, so this must be how it worked. He couldn't quite figure this one out. He thought that the final assumption was that I stood in front of a green screen and then put myself into this scene where maybe somebody else had been. But it wasn't even that. This whole shot is a piece of stock footage, except for my head. That is the only thing that I swapped out in this shot, and I cannot believe how well that worked. This is a whole man talking to these two women in this location. That's why it looks so good. The armor, like, reflects everything correctly and everything, because it is just a guy standing there. I literally just replaced my own head. Let me see if I can find that footage, actually. It turns out, and I learned this, I was happy to practice this and find out that it was real, because it turns out if you just shoot under the correct lighting conditions, all you need is a screen, is a blue screen or a green screen, and you can do pretty much anything. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't have to be more complicated than that. It's didn't need to punctuate that so strongly. I just needed a drink. The most basic form of compositing is really just if you have two things where the lighting matches perfectly and you stick one on top of the other, you can't tell the difference. And if I go to the raw footage, there's so much footage for this. See if I can. Why does it give me a preview? It should give me a preview so I don't have to go through all of it. Whew, looking rough there. Because yeah, I have no idea which one of these things is it. I miss Matt so much. Matt does not currently live here, and I need him to be here. He's working on it. Okay, here we are. I think this is the day. We filmed a couple. Is this the... Oh, wait, no, that's from a different shot. Don't worry about that. this is all the outside stuff, which is part of it. Like, we shot as much as we could inside, but at some point we were like, okay, we need, some of this stuff is happening outside, and we need to shoot it outside, or it's not going to sell. Well, where is that one? I love just these out of context. Here it is. Okay, so this is the shot we got, because we had the original shot. We knew where the light was hitting his head. We knew what, like, we could guess at the setup that they had shot, you know, the conditions they had shot in. So we just tried to recreate those in our backyard, and I think I might even ask Major actually, like, to help me guess what the focal length of the lens was for this shot, so that would match. We realized it was like really far. It was like 120, so we had to use our really like long telephoto lens, and just kind of got it set up. And then I did roughly the same action. That was the other thing too, is I'm actually like walking around attempting to imitate his like body movement, and then we did it a few times until we got one where my head was mostly covered by the green screen the whole time. And then I went and just isolated my head, cut it out, and then I think by hand just like tracked it over. Like it was really, really basic stuff, which is pretty cool. Ursa says Matt can live with them, so that's pretty cool. Free bunk bed. He might take it at this point. He really wants to get out of Texas. I'm pretty sure that's got to be Matt holding the green screen, because Allison's wingspan is not that wide. She's probably on camera, and I assume that's Matt following me with the screen. Hello to Dan. Happy 2024 to you too. General Knight says that's why his body felt so strange compared to his head in that scene. I'm really shocked how well it worked though. And like, I don't know if we had like, maybe there's even if we had like you know, dug in a little bit more, maybe there's a way to even make it look even better. But we also played with a few things. Like we talked about just replacing the whole guy with me, but then it would involve things like having to make sure that like this grass overlapped my feet well, make sure that I like matched their eye lines and their pace and everything. And yeah, the head thing just ended up working. There's a nice sharp line where his armor meets his neck, and it ended up working out for the best. Vanny asked about the Squire cameo. I'll cover that when we get there. It's actually much less complicated than than it seems. Let's see. So these, you just saw these on the green screen thing. These are obviously just us shot outside, so the lighting looks like it's outside. And then this background is actually a forest that I made for a sort of in progress on Pause Magic the Gathering video that I like just made this whole digital forest for. And more like essentially it's just kind of a green screen, like us in front of a screen with a digital background inserted. As you've seen, this is I think the only completely real shot that we got. Just because I keep going to it, I haven't gotten to it in the trailer yet, but we just pinned a raccoon puppet to Matt's shoulder, and then went out near some trees, and he freaked out, and that was it. Yeah, here we go. That apple looks so weirdly metallic. I don't know why it looks that way. This is Allison, actually, with the hood. And then, yeah, this is basically it. The knives, though. The knives were a whole thing. I wanted to get this cool little, like visually, we came up with this idea of me, like, holding up a dagger that I was going to throw, and then, like, splitting it into, like, 3 daggers. And obviously I can't do that in, like, I think that'd be hard even if you were, like, dexterous and, like, skilled at sleight of hand. So, instead, I just got this piece of cardboard, drew tracking dots all over it, and then, just tracked that area where a knife would be. And once that tracking was done, then it was just about going in and, like, modeling a good knife and animating it, like, fanning out at the right moment. And it's pretty cool. I think it's one of my favorite, like, just, like, digital objects. Not a whole lot of, like, hand interaction with it You know, it's just kind of behind because of the way I was holding it. So, ended up working pretty good. Actually, if anything, performance-wise, I'm very happy with my, like, finger placement. Because, like, I'm not holding a knife-shaped object. But it kind of sells in this one, like when I do the hand motion. And then, like, a lot of this is really just we're on a green screen, and I just did a decent job, like, matching the lighting and the camera height and focal length. This is, I think, me just there's no way I'm gonna find this shot. If anybody knows how to, like, activate a preview or something, that'd be cool. Although this is a good example right here. This is the one from later, which let's see, I'll kind of skip ahead to. This one here, the furniture is not real. That's actually a photo scan of a chaise lounge I don't own. I'm just sitting on this green mess here, and then yeah, just figured out how to match the lighting and created like a thing on the couch to cast a shadow. In this actual 3D shot, I'm actually probably floating in front of the couch because it's a 2D plane at like a 3/4 angle. And then a lot of this castle on the inside is actually the same one that we used in the last Crusader Kings video, where I was like me and Thomas, and I'm wanting to decorate the wall with swords. It's just the same one. But I actually really, even in this scene, I think the thing that really worked too was just shooting it as if we were in the space and not in front of a green screen, because we knew we wanted to do like these over the shoulder shots and kind of these wides and see me sitting on the couch, and we didn't shy away from the stuff that like would have made it a little bit harder, and I think that sells it, because I think this scene, every time I see this scene, actually, it's weirdly like the space feels so cozy, like I want to be in there and almost feel like I was at some point. And I'm happy with how grounded this location feels for not being real. And then yeah, I think this is the same kind of place. And yeah, just I don't know. I guess I'm just continuously impressed with like how everything fits together. Like if everything just matches, again, the compositing thing, the lighting, focal length, camera height, if you get those just basic, like, if you shoot it the same way both times and stick them on top of each other, even if one is digital, they just kind of click, and that's cool. This one is matte in front of a green screen, but I didn't render that background. That's actually just an existing stock footage shot. I might even have found it beforehand, or we may have just been like, okay, we're going to hit you with a really strong backlight, and I'm going to find something to like be shining the light behind you, and it worked. This is kind of a fun one because this it just looks so good. This guy, this is all one stock shot. Don't know who this guy is. This was just like a stock footage shot of a priest in a confession booth, and then we shot Matt just on the other side and digitally recreated the other half of the confession booth. And there's like the only issue at all is that actually like this light is a little hot. It's a bit bright compared to the other guys, which is clearly much dimmer. That's probably the only adjustment I would make if I were to go back and redo it again. You can't even see like an edge. He just looks like he's sitting in there. Yadological asks if it's possible to donate swords via Patreon. I don't know of a way, but if you can figure it out, I'll take them. I'm happy to have swords. Manny says sometimes I feel like the crew just has a bunch of differently shaped objects lying about to make green screen shapes out of. It is actually a whole task every time to figure out like what do we need first of all, and can we cover something in green fabric just to like roughly mark out that shape. This one probably goes in one of my less favorite shots, just because I don't really like how this fire looks. I think it's just the same room with a different background. It was also supposed to be much more extensive. This was actually a cut joke. I was fresh off of doing the Baron's floating metal head from the Age of Wonders video and tracking that onto my body, and I was like, I can track heads now. it's no problem. So I tried to track a hat onto me, and it did not work nearly as well. I think the Baron had a lot of wiggle room because the head was separate and it was kind of drifty and ethereal looking, and it didn't actually have to match every little nuanced movement of my head. Trying to stick an actual hat on my head did not work. But the joke was going to be, this was going to be like the aftermath of a party, and I was wearing a knight helmet with two chalices on the side with like the straws going down. So like a medieval beer hat. It would have been great if it had worked. Realistically, that's something that, like, if we were doing it over, it would have been best to just try to build that prop. But I was gonna try and, like, it was a VFXtravaganza, so we tried to do a bunch of stuff with effects that I wouldn't have otherwise. It didn't make it in, so we cut that part. I just used this bit for the trailer, and now Matt's standing in front of a fire, and it still works because, again, at some point I was worried about having to cut it, and then I was like, wait, it's a movie trailer. Everything is cut out of context. That's the whole vibe, so it ended up not mattering. This one came out, like, it doesn't look real, but it looks appropriately cheesy, I think. Matt full-on slapped me here. We just got I filmed in slow motion. I was like, just hit me, because it's going to be slow motion close up in my face. It just has to actually happen. So you can see all the fine details of the face impact. Just in front of a green screen again with the background. The crown, though, is clearly separate from me. I'm not actually wearing it. It is fully digital. It's a real crown. Am I wearing it in a different shot? I might be. It's just a photo scan of that crown. We did like a detailed photo scan. I brought it in, and then I just animated it flying in slow motion and rotating. And I think did it by hand, which is why it looks not real, because it absolutely isn't. But it kind of looks like the sort of effect they would do at the time, I feel like. So I think it sells for the sake of the fake movie. And then back to this one. Again, this room just feels like it exists, which is not a describable barrier, like bar to reach, but it is the one that, like, I'm always going for, and I'm always really happy if I manage to pull it off. There's don't know if it was because I wasn't shooting in 4K that day. There's a little bit of a dark edge around some of the keys. That's the only problem I have with this one, and I'm kind of in a constant battle to not have that. So okay, this is just a stock shot that fit in pretty well. Even this one's pretty good for just being like a flat on, like, shot of the two of us standing there. I'm pretty happy with how it turned into, like, feeling like a three-dimensional space, because this is definitely just us standing in front of a green background. I think all the stuff in the foreground really helps add to it, and this, like, symmetry and kind of the composition of the shot helps quite a bit. But yeah, this is all digital. There's no candles. There's no books. The actual fun part of this shot was Matt came up with the idea, and I kind of figured out, I think, how to make this work, where, like, he was crossing himself, and I was doing the same motion, but doing something shitty, because I'm a medieval frat boy, and we came up with this little thing of taking the shot. Oop, I completely lost my space there, hit the wrong button. Like, taking the shot, putting it down, and then we knew we wanted to end it with, like, the finger, and then I think we just added, like, the shoulder brush, because it, like, let my hand go the other way first and was, like, a douchey looking thing to do. But yeah, we actually set up, like, a metronome on the computer, and then just did this over and over and over again until we got it exactly right. But it's just another one of those little things where it's, like, great little joke, but you don't even think about, like, how much went into, like, that this was, like, you know, a combined 3 hours of work just to get the shot. But I'm really glad that we did, because it turned out perfectly. Like, we were, like, in sync, and it's great. Stock footage, that one's not mine. This is the worst shot in the trailer. This one, I think it was at the very end. I was trying to throw it together. It does not look good, but I just didn't have enough time to, like, refigure out the lighting correctly. So that was a shame. This one is just very clearly us. Like, I don't know, the lighting is really flat. It looks weird. And might even, like, you know, expose this shot as like fake more than that shot does on its own. But there just wasn't any way around it. And it's pretty quick. It's just this little high five, and then the, you know, the nice little swipe transition. And then obviously we went over this one. Stock footage shot of a raccoon. This is digital background and also digital crossbow. Matt's not holding, I think Matt's holding like, I don't know, because he's touching the trigger down there. I think I got a gun, like a fake gun that we've used in videos before, and then stuck cardboard to it with more tracking dots. The tracking on this one did not work nearly as well, so I think I cut it. That's why the shot is so short, because I didn't want to show off any of the actual movement. But for the little bit that it's in there, I've had people say they didn't even notice that was fake, so I think it ended up selling just fine. 1 second. Then he says, honestly, you get away with it fairly easily because it adds the sort of old movie, slightly degraded VHS feel. Talking about like this last shot, I do think there's a lot of leeway because of the VHS filter. That really goes a long way. It's kind of a secret gun. It's a secret gun for sure. And then yeah, this shot again is just Matt doing an excellent job pretending to be attacked by a raccoon. The way we pinned it and in his movement even makes it look like it's moving on its own to some degree. Like it kind of looks like there's some like muscle at play there, which is impressive because it's just a puppet. That's all Matt. And then this is stock footage. I just remember going through and finding as much like medieval Ren Fair stock footage I could find, and I came across this one and I was like, oh, that's going in. That's going in somewhere. I don't even care what that implies about anything. And then this cool night shot, and then the bonk. That was the other one too. As soon as there was the wooden sword bonk, I knew that one had to go in there. That was the right energy. Let's see. I'm gonna try to wrap this up because I'm gonna have to. I gotta leave pretty soon. This one's pretty basic. Just us in the I wouldn't say looks great, but doesn't need to. This is also a Night at the Roxbury reference for like who is it, like Jim Carrey, and is Jim Carrey in that one, or did they edit him in? It's not Jim Carrey. Is it Brendan Fraser? Is he in that one? I'm trying to picture the faces I've seen in that meme. Anyway, it's us doing the head bob. I struggled with this because I have no rhythm and so little ability to dance that I couldn't even get this right. So this is like the one, how bad we've talked about Ian being at singing. I can't do like any sort of rhythmic movement for shit. And so this is like the only 3 seconds that worked out of the whole recording. This is cool. This is a weird one right here because this is not Matt. This is a piece of stock footage. There's no editing. It's just a piece of stock footage I found on the same website that I got the rest from, and it isn't Matt. It's just a guy that looks like Matt from behind, wearing a bishop robe or something. So we put it in. That was it. It was just a free shot. It was just like, here you go, have an extra one. And then Ren Fair stock footage. This is the one you were asking about before. So this Squire cameo is not so much a cameo. I'm actually really surprised at how much the window changes this scene. This is just the Crusader Kings 2 video from a few years ago. It's literally just one of the shots from that video. I thought everybody would notice and recognize it, but it is the only difference is that I added the window. I literally just cut around their heads. That's just a blank wall behind them in the other video, and I had this shot of me and Matt just kind of running and needed like an extra thing to do, so I was like, oh, I'll just go grab this old shot from the old video, add a window behind them, and then I have us run by, committing mischief or whatever. That's it. That's just literally it's just the previous video, and nobody recognized it, and I understand why, because even looking at it, it's like I've never seen that shot before. It just changes the composition entirely just to have that window back there. But yeah, that's all. It's not even. I did not like re-communicate with Squire even about putting it in there. I just went and grabbed it. This was another one you saw some pieces of us dancing around outside. I nailed that. I picked exactly the right one right off the bat. This is just, we just went outside and we decided to do obnoxious things like this, and then put ourselves on either side of this Swedish guard, I think, is what the footage was labeled. Trying to find Matt's. Yeah, and then again, just recreated similar lighting conditions, and then stuck us on either side of this dude who was just standing. I found this of him just standing and doing nothing, and was like, I just immediately knew what to do. I was like, we gotta be on either side of this guy, just trying to get him to break. The raccoon wedding was definitely a mad idea, and we were gonna do the wedding. Maybe it wasn't a mad idea. We had to do the wedding shot. Like, it was like, there's always some goofy wedding, and I can't remember who it was gonna be. I think Matt's original idea was just like, oh no, it was gonna be one of us or something. I don't know. Matt was like, we need to have like the veil, like lifting the veil, and then it's something weird, like it's just like the other person. And then at some point we had done the raccoon earlier, and I was like, it should just be the raccoon again. It should just be you just lift the veil and it's just the raccoon there. And did a little outfit change for this one. I've got like a different jacket on. This is another one of those ones, this whole sequence right here, where not only is Matt's "he's right behind me" joke just the best thing ever, but you can really just like feel the space here. And I think part of that is I put some actual, I have recorded motion of like somebody holding a camera that I can just like take and apply to digital cameras. And this one, and when it moves kind of in and out in 3D space, it just adds this whole like true handheld motion. Because this shot wasn't handheld, it's just locked off. Matt standing there in front of a green screen like usual. The handheld was added digital, and it just kind of, I don't know, sells the whole thing, I think, a lot. And then finally there was this one, which, like, I think this might be where the idea came from, were these two shots. It was that meme of Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal going around, and we were like, we should just, we have to I think that was the first, like, right after we were like, we should do a road trip, my first thought was, we have to do the Nick Cage, Pedro Pascal shots of us in the carriage. And we just spent a long time, like, with Allison's help, like, making sure we got the expressions and the movement and everything exactly right, and it turned out great. And then the rest is just, the carriage in the background, whooshing by in the background, nothing too complicated there. And then finally this one, this was the last shot I did. This was gonna be this huge, big, I had like reference shots open. This was gonna be another one on par with the other carriage shot of this like ridiculous jump that we were gonna pull off with this thing. And I think I could have done it, but I ran out of time. It was at the end of the 48-hour period, and I was like, damn, I have this whole other shot to do. I have to figure out like how to do this, because it's not going to work the way that I want it. And I don't know how long it took me, but eventually I realized I was like, I could just silhouette the whole thing. I could just get it down here, expose for the sky, turn the whole thing into a silhouette, and then I don't have to deal with the details, and I already have an animation of the carriage moving. So this is actually literally the same shot as the other carriage shot from a lower angle with stuff changed. That's the bridge that I just chopped in half. This is just them running. Like, this is actually just us driving on the ground with the ground removed. And then I think this is just like a dude. There's that Mixamo website from Adobe where you can just download like motion capture data. I think this is also one of their stock models on the site, and I just downloaded it with the same data, stuck a spear in their hand, copied and pasted them, and then stuck them all in the background. And then, yeah, just like the silhouette is what's saving this one, because if you actually lit it, it would look terrible. But it actually sold. I was surprised. And then finally we cut to the classic Crusader Kings logo, which was just the nice little cherry on top of the whole thing. Vanny, I did not do the whole thing in 48 hours, but the bulk of the effects work was done in the last 48 hours. We shot it for maybe even a couple of weeks, kind of off and on, and I was playing with that carriage shot for a while first. But a big chunk of the effects, most of the effects, were done in the last 48 hours. General Knight said, I hadn't noticed until now the luggage flying off is the same animation from before. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, actually. Does it, can you see it here? Actually, you know what's going on up there? It isn't the luggage. I deleted the luggage, but it looks like the claw simulations did not slow down properly with everything else, so they actually lag behind, which I did not notice until just now. You can see the banners up there, like staying put for a bit and then catching up because they didn't slow down correctly with the rest of the render. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We've hit the end of our time. I'm pushing up dangerously close to when I have to leave, so I'm going to have to go ahead and rush out of here. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm glad I got to cover the whole thing. That was fun. If you are interested in seeing any more of these streams, like more regularly, you can go to Patreon. If you donate on I think just any tier, you'll have access. I just post it straight up, and I work on stuff every morning. It's not this extensive. It's actually usually pretty just chill, me hanging around, like chatting and working on an in-progress effect shot. But I'm trying to do them every single weekday morning. This week went well, and then I'm going to keep doing public ones on Fridays. So yeah, if you'd like to join, that'd be awesome. Trying to build a Patreon back up again, and it really helps us be able to keep making things and be able to hopefully start this new year off. Hope you all liked the new video. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a new sketch over on the main channel. Go watch that. And I will be back next week with more streams and with a new video about Batman. Isn't a sketch, one of me like talking to the Unraveled series that isn't unraveled and can't be called Unraveled because that's an existing thing and I need to come up with a name for. But I'm doing a Batman one, so that's coming up next week. Thank you guys. Hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Goodbye.